live in the dungeon. This is the Dream Warrior Review. I'm Kurt Thomas.
I'm Mick Strawn.
And this is episode 89. I'm mad because I didn't do my homework on this because I've never seen Equalizer, the first one.
You haven't seen the first one?
So I can't compare it. So I'm pissed off because
Really?
if I would have known we're seeing this one, I would have watched it.
Hold on. I've seen the first one.
Well, there we go. You can talk about it because usually I'm the one that does the homework.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But no, I totally would have watched it if I planned. And since we live in this,
the first one is really good. And
we live in this one horse town that only has certain movies.
But the first one doesn't. It doesn't really delve as much into his international stuff, his spy thing. I think that in the first one, he seemed to be protecting a Home Depot. But don't get me wrong, he did it really, really, really well.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, nobody. Yeah.
Well, I didn't see the first one, so didn't even matter. I don't think, did it?
I don't think so. Why don't you give us a synopsis?
Oh,
Equalizer 2.
Yes, this is Denzel Washington. Yeah, it's my hero. Robert McCall serves an unflinching justice for the exploited and oppressed. But how far will he go when that's someone when that is someone he loves?
Equalizer 2.
That was terrible.
That was really bad.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. Well, and the answer was
pretty damn far.
Pretty far. Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Pretty damn far.
So, you know what I wanted to point out is the professionalism of this film. All the way along, it was. I mean, even in terms of the locations, I mean, every location really said something about who the person was. I mean, especially this guy. You know,
the location was a character in a lot of senses too.
It was,
especially at the end.
Especially at the end. And the thing is I think that you were seeing some master tension.
Oh, absolutely.
The way that the director built tension and the way that
there should have been more objects flying though at some point.
Well, you know, this is the
I won't say what objects I'm talking about, but
this is the interesting thing. The interesting thing I thought was how there was a long period of time where you were waiting for something really to happen and it was building and building and building, and then when it does happen, it got boring so quick.
I thought when stuff happened, I thought it was pretty quick. Like when somebody's getting killed, it was so quick, and they moved on to the next thing.
Right? Yeah.
Well, my favorite scene was in the car.
I agree. Oh yeah.
The guy was attacking him.
Oh yeah.
That was my favorite scene. That was
really well done. Yeah. No, it was really well done.
Choreography was great.
But the thing that I'm saying is that there was tension through the beginning until we got. And did you notice that the way? When I talk about production design and the how production design is how you create you can create an arc with the production design, and that was actually done with wind here.
Yeah.
You know, through the whole thing you had a storm that was coming for no other reason than
that's right.
to actually build up into an ending, right? And the thing that I bet you didn't notice was this, is that the storm actually continued slightly building, even when he went to other countries and came back in the meantime. You know, every time that he was back in Boston, it was Boston, right?
Yeah, I think it was around Boston.
Yeah, it was around Boston. Every time he's back in Boston.
He was in D.C. too a couple times.
Yeah, he was in D.C., but that's what I'm saying. He was in D.C., and then he was in like some foreign country. Belgium, and back, and he's coming in and out. But the weather in Boston, the world's slowest storm is coming. And how come they weren't worried about painting outside in the storm? I'll never understand.
There was a storm going on in his life, in his head, inside him.
Yes. That's what was happening.
Did you know they actually have a thing called a drone producer?
Really?
Yeah, Tony Carmine. was
Oh
a
yeah,
drone
I'm
producer.
sure they do. I'm sure they do because you know what? I'm sure that a drone producer pulls together a unit that works specifically with a drone or group of drones.
Did
these
you just say a
days.
drone? He pulls his unit.
But
Sorry, I had to go there.
wow, that's a long way around that's a long way around to get a joke. Wow.
No, I was scrolling through these crazy credits because there's a million people on here, but I was actually getting distracted because I was actually looking for that actor's name that I forgot already. Orson Bean.
Orson Bean, yeah.
Because I was thinking of him because he's like, "There's a storm coming."
There's a storm coming, yeah, and it was coming forever. Yeah.
Why does an old guy always have to say that?
Well, it's required. It's you know what? The older I get, the more I feel like
Something's a brewing.
I'm not to the point yet to where I've actually said it yet. But
okay.
you know, I think that by the time I'm 70, the storm will be coming. It's a slow builder, you know. It's just that way. Yeah, Orson Bean's been around forever. I mean,
I didn't realize how many things he's been in. He's pretty.
But he's played an old man since he was 7. Yeah, no, he started out playing an old man. Originally, Orson Bean, the very first role that he ever had, he was 7 playing for 80. Yeah,
I believe it. Is that kind of like a? Oh, I won't say anything about it. Ron Howard's brother.
his brother, yeah, Ron Howard.
Kind of looks like he plays an older part all the time.
Oh yeah,
Like when he was a kid.
Clint.
Yeah,
Oh
Clint.
yeah, Clint Howard. Oh man, Clint actually plays 2 people, and one of them's his forehead.
Well, it's like the Rock and his eyebrows, right?
Yeah.
He acts with his eyebrows.
Yeah, you know, my wife does those helmets.
Yeah,
She
the medical
paints
ones.
the medical helmets.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know what those are for? They're so that your kid doesn't come out looking like Clint Howard.
Oh wow, poor guy.
Yeah, well, there you go.
He's an excellent actor too.
Yeah, he really is. But
But you know,
weird.
But I make fun of him just because he's always in Ron Howard movies. He's always playing some lame character that comes out and just and then that's it. That's all he is.
He's just a weird character.
That
Even
wasn't
in
a
Star Wars.
That was
Even
my
in Star
impression. Is that
Wars.
amazing?
I mean, even
Star Wars,
in
yes.
Star Wars, in Star Wars he was promoting a robot fight, right?
Yeah.
You know? Wow.
Maybe he wanted to do that.
You don't know. You don't know.
Maybe he said, "I got an
It's
idea."
Totally You know what? You don't know.
That's true.
It could be.
We need
It's
Ron
true.
to come on the show to talk about it.
Hey, Ron.
There's our invitation again.
Yeah, there you
I've
go.
asked him
Again.
twice now.
You
that's
have.
it.
That's twice.
I'm throwing
That's
the
it.
line.
2.
No more.
And that's it.
That's right.
2, and that's it.
He's got to beat Steven though. Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, there you go. So, I wanted to point out sound.
Yes,
on
let's
this
talk about
film.
sound.
The sound was very good on this film, and it was very.
I think there's even some Foley work involved.
Well, there was a lot of Foley work involved because, boy, when we were in the,
Yes.
you know, as we headed towards the storm, the gathering storm, you know, all the stuff that was banging around, but there was something suspicious about this storm. I get a feeling that it may have been made by movie people.
It looked a little suspicious.
Well,
especially the waves. Some of them look a little suspicious.
yeah, but I mean, what really got me was that the storm was so convenient.
It was.
I mean, it was blowing through every house there. It was like blowing the windows open and everything like that. But when it came to the end and everything settled down, he walked into his own house, but there was nothing. It looked like he was walking into his house on a fine summer day, and they went to the window out front and washed.
Well, they did some stuff with sound a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it was
they had their
minor.
little conversation, and then it swelled.
Yeah, but it was when they walked in.
Are we giving too much away? Talking about how he walked into the house at the end?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Probably not.
Bummer. But
he walked into a house at the end, and there was a storm that was
Ooh.
calm.
And I was going to say that there was something.
I'll bleep out house.
I kept thinking. No, just
walked into his beep.
Just change the wood to wouldn't.
Okay, wouldn't.
Okay,
yes.
wouldn't. No, he
you
would.
meant to say would.
He
but
meant to say would. So there was a linearity to it that was a little
It was very linear.
I mean, the beginning of it was really,
but what
really
else do you
great.
expect of this kind of movie? It's like a Die Hard or like a what's the one with Charles Bronson? I always forget that we saw with Bruce Willis.
No, I agree with you. But usually there's a little bit of a twist somewhere, and the way that the end of this,
there was one twist in here that I predicted really early on.
Yeah, me too.
I won't talk about that.
I got a couple myself. There was a twistlessness to it. It just kind of, and to me, I'm separating the first half from the second half because the first half actually was quite interesting. I mean, I thought the tension, the way that it built tension, and you know the kill-offs and the relationship of the second story and so forth. But then when we got to the island, it seemed from there on there was more of a just straight.
Well, that was
linearity.
For me. That was kind of like the third act. Like
that was the third act.
Just the island was the last.
Yeah,
final
it was
act,
the last
third
one.
act.
Yeah.
But the second act would be like when he started the little battle with the
third act.
The little guys. The
Wait,
thing going on with the guys.
One
was
two,
just yeah. Three.
Huh.
Unless you count the credits.
I work in film. I don't normally have to count that high.
I like the first. I think it would have been better if they shortened up the first part and had more of the thing at the end with the guys doing the things and the things.
I like the beginning more.
Because I think that went too quick. It was too easy for the thing to happen with the guys and the things and the
Well,
stuff.
you know what? I wouldn't have mind.
Don't you think it resolved itself
I'm
really
give
fast?
you this one. I like the beginning. I would leave it just the way it was.
I like the beginning too, but I thought the second part, like you say, went too fast. It was just boom, boom, boom. That was it. It was so
right,
easy.
but that's what I'm saying. It was, but the thing is it doesn't.
But he was a professional.
It didn't need to be just lengthened. It needed to be complicated somehow. There had to be like a twist to it, which it didn't have. I mean, you know, the thing is the beginning.
Right.
Kind
like
of.
they could have something at the end that was like dun dun dun.
Dun, dun. Yeah, right.
Something
Right.
Maybe not
you know
literally
what?
that.
Maybe if
but
we had just sat there in the audience and gone dun dun dun, it would have done it. I don't know. I just wasn't up for that this time.
Yep.
Lord knows I've done it before.
Like have his grandma be the enemy or something. Like,
Dun dun dun.
she's still alive. I don't know.
Dun dun dun. Wow, this is getting stupid.
I guess I wasn't expecting this to be super interesting story. I just was expecting a lot of action, and I got what I wanted. That's what I don't know.
Well, there you go. So
I
how
like
you
Denzel Washington.
So
how does he not age? By the way, 'cause
yeah. Well, you know what? I did notice this though. The way that he stands
yeah,
is not.
he kind of walks leaning forward a little bit.
It's not a young man's stance anymore.
He's always kind of had that weird walk too.
Yeah, he's always had the weird walk, but
kind of different now.
But yeah, but now that weird walk, like that, you know, it's like the hitch in your walk that gives you character when you're between 20 and 35. becomes more troublesome, you know, as you get older. Trust me. I mean, I've got that.
Well, I walk like John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever, so I don't know what's going to happen to me.
Stick up your ass and a rhinestone in your forehead. So, anyway.
So I can't wait till the
what?
nursing home one. Equalizer 59.
Equalizer 59.
And he's like, hey, motherfucker, where is it? I don't know.
Equalizer
Sending
meets,
holograms to his enemies.
Equalizer meets equal.
The war is on
Equal.
now. I don't know.
Drink your equal.
Equalizer.
Equalizer.
It can be sponsored by Equal.
That's right.
Little product placement. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. You know, you could say it'd be like Popeye with the spinach.
And somehow Polydent can play into like the explosions.
Hey,
somehow.
Don't you be knocking Polydent. Or we wouldn't be on the air right now, brother.
Oh, actually, that might be more interesting.
Us not being on the air? Definitely.
Well, we want to give away your age.
Yeah.
I was thinking about my age. I was like, how old was I when did Nightmare on Elm Street 4 come out? That was 1988, right?
88.
So I was 14.
You were 14.
Yeah. I wasn't old enough to see it.
Yeah, well, I was
thinking about
that's
that.
right, because I always know that we're 15 years apart, 15, 16
I think I
years
saw it
apart.
on VHS. I don't know who rented it. Somebody rented it.
Well, you see, and that was at the beginning of being able to actually rent a film. You know, up until that point, that rental thing, that put New Line on the map. I mean, because, you know, you got to remember, up until that point,
And Roger Corman.
for the most part, their distribution was small, older theaters up and down the East Coast. That's what they were known for, and they did campus stuff. You know, they like, if you ever saw Bambi versus Godzilla, that's the kind of stuff that they used to distribute.
Actually, I never saw that one, but that sounds amazing.
Bambi versus... You've never seen Bambi versus Godzilla?
No. That sounds like something we should review.
It's not a fair fight. Let's put it that way.
So my challenge is finding it, right?
Oh, you can find it anywhere, trust me.
So
Yeah?
what are we rating this one?
Well, that's a
Are we
good
done talking
question.
about it?
That's,
I mean, I liked all the actors.
We are, because I want to bring up something. So therefore, you know, like I say, I think I would go a 3.7 or a 3.6.
See, once again, I want to know what I rated that movie with Bruce Willis.
Stop it.
I've got to look at my spreadsheet. I've got to get my spreadsheet out.
God, you're such a dork.
Sorry, that comes out every once in a while.
Yeah, no, this is here's the thing, is we've got numbers behind us now, you know? And now that we've got numbers, I can tell that it bothers you. It really, just the weight of the show that's following.
I think if anybody listens to us, they know that our ratings are kind of like
completely random.
Whatever. If you ask me tomorrow, I'll probably tell you something different.
Well, wasn't there a show Whose Line Is It Anyway or something like that? Yeah, where they, you know,
I think they're still doing an American version of it.
Yeah, where the guys assign just bizarre whatever numbers they want. Like 3-point black. 7-point chicken liver.
See, okay, I got to think about it this way.
Okay.
This is similar to like Die Hard with a Vengeance or Live So Hard Dying, whatever that Bruce Willis one, one of the more recent ones.
Right, okay.
I kind of like that a little bit more than this one. I don't know what I'd rate that one. So I'm trying to think. I'd probably give that a 4 maybe, or maybe Die Hard with a Vengeance is probably what I'm thinking of. Maybe like 3.8.
3.9.
So this would probably be about 3.5 or 3.5. 3 points.
So you went through all this
I'll stick
crap.
with that.
You went through all that crap just to get to the same point that I'm at.
And there's an amazing action movie by Harold Lloyd called The Freshman. And that I would rate a lot higher than this one.
Ah, well, there you go. Is that a talkie?
No, it's a silent movie.
I thought so.
1920 something. I can't remember what year it was.
Okay.
Yes.
So
that was a weird reference.
No, yeah, right. That was,
but it really is an action movie. If the guy gets hurt, I think.
Yeah, well, there you go. That was out of the green. And speak about green.
That was in the rough. It was very rough.
I wanted to bring something up.
Oh, Green, yes.
Green.
We saw Green living in the credits, right?
Green, I did. I saw Green filmmaker. That there's Paramount or whoever made that.
Columbia.
Was it Columbia?
Sony, Columbia. Yeah, Columbia.
It's called a Columbia Green picture. Oh. And I don't know how that rates or what they have to do, but I know I've raped some rainforests myself. I've pulled them down personally.
Story time. Story time. It's story time with Mick. 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 Story time with Mick.
We used to use a mahogany wood called Luan, which was made out of rag mahogany. They'd take the heart mahogany, they'd sell it off, and the rag mahogany, they'd all glue it together and make sheets of it as a plywood that you know, like mahogany plywood. And God, we just used 10-foot sheets. You could buy 4x10s of it for, like, I remember, this is really gonna date me. Okay, I remember when I first started, they were $8.25 a sheet.
Wow.
So yeah, that give you a clue. And we bought huge quantities of Luan. I mean, huge. And I remember when we did Nightmare on Elm Street 3, there was the amount of Luan that came to the docks literally was. I mean, if there was a storm out at sea, then it would not get here in a timely manner, and our Luan would literally be stuck at sea. We would be waiting for it, and we would be using really bad other solutions. The thing about Luan is Luan was cheap. It was rigid. It was easy to cut. It was, quarter of an inch thick, and yet it had the strength, with a certain amount of 1x3 blocking to still stand up to things. And when we were on Nightmare on Elm Street 3, I remember we went down and we waited at the docks with a truck. Now, what we would do is go through a couple of different lumber companies and get POs for their different amounts that they would let their customers use at a certain time. Mm-hmm. So we would get 100 from one place and then another 100 from another place and then 100, until you would have POs standing on the docks with, 8 POs to try and get 800 sheets of Luan.
Wow.
And it was ridiculous. But the thing is that we found this one ship that came in that they would slip us some on the side, and so we got together like a couple $1,000s in petty cash and just bought a whole bunch of sheets. And by a couple $1,000, I mean like probably closer to $10,000.
Right.
And so we turned in a receipt for $8,900 or something like that, and on what it was, we just wrote Luan because it was supposed, everybody knew what Luan was. Well, I got this note on my desk, like a couple weeks later, that said, literally it said this. It said, "Who is Luan, and why are we paying her so much money?"
Oh, wow.
Literally, from the accounting. And I was like, and the accountant was Deborah Moore, and she's been a great friend of mine for years. I had known her for years before that. And I went down, I was like, "Deborah?" And I handed her the note, and she looks at the note, and she goes, "Jesus Christ!" She's running down and she says, I've had my current assistant for 2 days, and she used to work at an auto parts store, so you really got to excuse her. So who is Luan, and why are we paying her so much?
Yeah.
In cash? Why are we paying her in cash? We have to run Luan through payroll like everybody else.
Wow, the things that Luan could do.
I'm telling you. I am telling you. I mean, on that show, there was something about the show itself that you were always trying to bring on new people, and you had like a certain amount of people that you could pay a little bit, and then everybody else would be like would either be just a slight improvement on what you would call an intern these days. And I remember that I needed like this skein of wire, just like baling, just regular baling wire. And baling wire never showed up. And finally, I remember I stopped by a hardware store on the way home and bought a couple rolls of the wire and stuff. And when we were wrapping out of the building, and there was like this just crate that had come in like a long time ago and was sitting on the side, and it looked like something, that somebody needed, but it wasn't us that we knew of. I mean, there wasn't anything that we needed that was in a crate style.
And you opened it and it was a dead intern?
open.
Sorry.
I wish. Oh, I wish. So we did as we were leaving the building. I said, hey, look, that crate's still here, and went over there and I, took the top off of it, and the packing slip was on the inside, and it was there were 4 skeins of wire stacked 4 feet deep all the way. I mean, literally so heavy that only a forklift could move it. And all of a sudden, like that thing hits your head and you go, bing, you go, oh, my wire's here.
Whoops.
Whoops. Yeah, exactly. Whoops.
Was there still a forklift around?
No. No, and I swear to God, as far as I know, you know what we did do, though, is we did put the top back on. Just left.
Wow.
Yeah. I feel bad about it.
Well, maybe it served a good purpose. Maybe somebody found it and said, "Ooh, I needed a ton of wire."
Well, you would think that I was the only one that did that. However, the people before us had left 10 barrels like on the edge of the parking lot, and what they had done is they had very cleverly pushed them up against the like there was this berm of dirt that came off the side of the, because the next building was up higher. Mm-hmm. And what they'd done is they cut it in and taken the barrels and pushed them up against the berm of dirt. So what we thought is we thought that the barrels were being used as kind of a retaining wall for the berm of dirt.
Ah, yes.
Turned out to be...
That's pretty smart, actually.
Extremely hazardous chemicals, and somehow somewhere in, just as we were wrapping up, somebody went, well, what's in these barrels? And opened them up, opened one of the tops of one of the barrels, and took a whiff.
Oh no!
And wound up in the hospital.
Oh,
and it was like, oh, and so then it was like huge emergency and everything, and I think that in that emergency. That was about when I discovered that, we had somehow ordered like 1,500 pounds of wire.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's
so
the
there's
kind
certain
of
lessons
stuff.
there. Like, find a random chemical. Probably don't want to just inhale it. And then also, bad guys never wear seatbelts, and they usually drive Mercedes.
Yes,
that's what I learned from the Equalizer 2. That's what I learned.
Hello, right? I mean, if you're going down the road, how many times have you seen the trick where the seatbelt? Yeah, because the good guys always got the seatbelt on, and the bad guy goes through the windshield.
If you're a Lyft driver and somebody's not wearing the seatbelt in the back, beware.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So,
I think that's I think we did this one pretty good. We beat
you think
it
that we did? We
submission.
just
I'm pretty sure. Maybe not.
I think it was pretty brutal, actually.
I'm trying to figure out what kind of material would they use. I keep thinking about that.
About
like if they're a green production, they probably use some kind of recycled material. Maybe they have to clean up everything that they create. I guess. I don't know. Blah blah blah.
Oh, you're trying to. Well, it is a good question because I would bet that they don't use Luan anymore. I would imagine that they would use something that was American made, a birch flake or something like that. That would be green because we were, really using Philippine mahogany was just a horrible thing to do. Yeah, it was terrible.
They probably use interns. Stand here.
Yeah, well, you never see an old intern.
They just hold up a wallpaper.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
And they're the walls.
Yeah. Here, stand here. Well, in New Zealand, now this is the cool thing. In New Zealand, we had sets in New Zealand, and they had the coolest way you could imagine. Is what you would do is you would order in Australia, you would order blocks of foam. And I don't mean little blocks of foam. I mean blocks of foam. 8 feet by 8 feet
Wow.
by 16. Okay, now get this. Now by 16.
Delivered by truck.
Well, no, it's foam. They would deliver it by truck, because it was the size
So
of the
big,
of the thing. But the great thing about it is they threw them on the decks of on the top of the decks of the ship. So they were really cheap to transport because they would come over with, like all those things, the containers.
Mm-hmm.
The containers would be all lined up like this, and then on top of them, they would just put a level of this bead foam, right? And so when they would get to the shop, what they would do is they would take and they'd put a nichrome wire from the door. From the top of the entry door to in the back, like the big warehouse door, and they put a nichrome wire all the way from the top, and just run a straight current through it, and just go, and they would cut it in 6-inch slices off of the block.
Wow.
And then they would have me come down. I swear this is the way that was done. They would have me come down. Now we were doing rough stuff. But it could be for anything. I mean, it could be the walls of a house or anything because they don't have wood to use. So they would just come down and they would give me a magic marker, and I'd mark out the windows, and it was great. And then they plaster over it, and it looks great.
Wow.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound very earth friendly to me, but.
Well, I mean,
I see seagulls choking in my.
Yeah, well, I have no idea. I don't even know if that's recyclable.
I don't think so.
Really?
I don't know.
Are you a professional?
I grew up in a household of environmentalists, and they were, I hate that foam stuff. That wasn't anybody in particular, just so you know. That was just a random voice.
Hey, I'm recycle or die too. Hey, folks out there, this is the end. This is because we're done with this turkey.
Would there be?
Are we still going? No, recycle or die.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Recycle or die.
Recycle or die.
This is Kurt Thomas along with Nick Strawn. Thank you for listening to the Dream Warrior Review. If you have any questions or just have feedback for our show, we welcome them at dreamwarriorreview@gmail.com. Of course, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter as well. As always, please follow us and tell your friends about us too. We want more followers. That's our goal, is to get up to 1 million followers in the next year. That's our goal. We want to get more followers. So if you can help us with that, that'd be great. See you next time.